Internet. Welcome to a WoW podcast. Obviously, episode number
38.
You are so on it.
Hey, that's older than I am. Just about.
Yeah, we finally got there. I was about to say this is going to be the best, most professional podcast we've ever done, but now I'm not so sure because we've descended into anarchy here on our podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the episode.
Hello,
we
hi
are
guys.
here. You are here. And the people listening on their preferred podcast platforms, because I actually uploaded that last week, are here as well. Oh, it's all working out splendidly. What are we talking about on today's episode, Evie?
Today, we are talking about a topic that everyone agrees with completely and has the same feelings on. It's 11.1.5 and the return of, quote, time gating.
That's right, everyone. The schedule for 11.1.5 was released just yesterday.
It is
or day
here.
before, and it's a mess. It's all over the shop.
There are feelings.
There's gating. There's more gates than.
Oh, should have thought of this one.
Joke. I could have thought of the best joke ever, and I didn't. And so we're gonna have. I'm gonna edit it in. I'm gonna come back to this for the people listening on their live podcasting platforms. You would have just heard the best joke you've ever heard in your entire life. Okay, because it's possible. It's there. It's definitely there. Yeah, we are gonna be talking about 9.1.5 and
or 11.1.5 even.
What did I say?
You were thinking about 9.1.5.
Horrific visions.
Yeah.
I was thinking about Shadowlands.
Oh.
That's what 11.1.5 makes me think of. Makes me think of Shadowlands because I'm not even a joke. I'm not even lying to you, right? I feel crushing disappointment on this. You know me. I love The War Within. I love where the game is at right now, okay? But I feel an incredible sense of disappointment. I wouldn't say, Heavy, that I feel
that
like...
strong?
No, it is very strong. Exactly. I don't say it lightly either. No. I wouldn't say that it feels like Ian Hazacostas has spat in my face and shat on my head, but it's not far off.
Wow.
That's all I'm saying.
Wow, that is pretty strong, Tally. And I am going to be here today as the devil's advocate, the foil, the voice of reason.
Oh, that makes it sound
even.
like you wouldn't be the voice of reason given the choice. And that naturally that wouldn't be what you were doing and that you're just doing it for effect.
Exactly. I'm just doing it, just so we can have a conversation about time gating. And I think it's going to be interesting, actually, because I have thoughts about this too, but they're not as strong. I mean, I would say they're as strong as yours, but I would say they're not as negative.
I've slightly exaggerated my feelings for the sake of drama.
Wait, no such thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, exactly. So, I mean, yeah, there's that, right? And if you want to not hear us just shitting on the game like we always do, which is what I read in our Wowhead comments today.
Oh, no.
When they shared our weekly reset episode. I always try and get into the Wowhead comments really quick before Wowhead delete all the nastiest ones. And it's not just us, right? They do that with every article they do.
Right?
Because they delete nasty comments because they don't give a shit. And that's the attitude everyone should take, frankly. But I try and get in there and I try and read the really nasty comments before they're deleted. And I managed to get some. And they were so nasty.
Really?
Well, we are shills, but also we shit on the game.
Truly.
And we hate it.
How can you be both at once?
Because Wowhead exists. Like, of course we can be both. I don't know, but it's different people saying that, right? So,
no, I get that. I get that. It's true. That reminds me. I was going through some YouTube comments and I saw some other people were sharing, some greatest hits. Bell was sharing some ones where someone like just Bell's on his like ketamine arc.
Yeah.
But it reminded me, there's some really good ones that came up on YouTube, which my favorite genre of YouTube comments. Sorry, it's a bit of a sidetrack, but two of my favorites were up there. One was, are they siblings? Oh, haven't had one of those in a while, but it's one of my favorites. And two, why did she cut her hair so short?
Why did you cut your hair so short in the last weekly reset as well? Basically, if we want YouTube success, we have to grow our hair much, much longer.
It's true. It's true. And like my answer to that one is always like, just to spite you individual person on the internet.
Yeah,
clearly, I
totally.
thought of them, and I thought of them specifically, even though I don't know who they are. And I was like, I'm going to cut my hair just to make them feel bad about my hair. Anyway.
Well, my answer is always, because that's how your mum likes it.
Exactly. So just a friendly reminder, we are going to be going through super chats at the end of this episode.
That's what I was trying to lead into, right? So
of course you were.
If you want to get us started on a topic which isn't just shitting on the game
and
we
were getting there.
Raging, and being like the best clickbaity YouTubers in the world, then if you actually want to talk about something proper, you can put it in the super chats, and we will come to it towards the end of the show.
Yes, we will.
Before we go and pick up our kids for swimming.
Yeah.
Because that's the I think that's why we get less comments about us being siblings these days, to be honest, is because, we very famously are married and have children. Whereas when we first started this channel, we had no children and we were not married.
It's true.
So there's all that. It was much more believable that we might be siblings just living together in a flat in London for some reason.
Yeah.
It happens. If you live in a flat in London with your sibling, I'm not saying that's weird or wrong, but yeah, it's much more believable for sure.
Yeah. So
there's that, but there's also a whole bunch of other stuff as well. There are bits and bobs creeping onto the PTR to test about horrific visions. Got a bit longer to test some of those things than we thought we might have, to be honest now, including the Dastardly Duos, which is getting tested again today.
Yeah.
I should be live by the time this podcast goes off the air if you're watching live on YouTube. And I will be not taking my kids swimming. Yeah, I'm not going to stream it. I'm going to just jump on and test it.
Okay, cool.
See what's going on and stuff like that. And have a look around. And there's also, so here's the thing. We were sitting on stream on Twitch yesterday, and I was sitting there all confident that there was going to be an announcement, because we are at the point now where the last housing article, the last player housing article, was a month ago.
A full month, huh?
Yeah. And they usually launch on a Wednesday. So maybe we're going to have to wait till next week for it, or maybe it will go today. Who knows? But we are basically, now that we've established that we think this is a series of articles releasing regularly, possibly they didn't have as much to show us this month as they thought they might, or whatever. But I think it's fair to expect another player housing article just around the corner. I hope so, because otherwise we're going to have to basically kind of like talk about the Timegating in patch 11.1.5 again in the weekly reset. Which that might just be a bit too much, honestly. And it's always nice to have like a conversation with you here on the podcast and then script it for the weekly reset.
I agree.
I think that it does offer different things, right?
Yeah.
There is that. There's we can have some speculation about what that player housing article might be about, because I think there are some topics that could be quite interesting to look at. And also just like general sort of WoW news and stuff like that. So
yeah, there are a couple of things that should be on your weekly to-do list. I mean, we can go through really quickly, see what's up.
Exactly. But what is your World of Warcraft life looking like at the moment, Evertel? What have you been up to? What are you doing?
You know what? It's pretty good at the moment. I've kind of reached that point where I'm not like pushing high keys. And I've had my 4 set for ages on like hero track, and I've pretty much upgraded it as much as I can. I'm doing my delves. I'm doing, like today I was just doing my chores, which feel kind of fun, like running around Undermine, doing all of my chest quests, just picking up bits and bobs. And I'm like, I'm comfortably coasting. I think if you had to describe it,
that kind of describes my entire academic life.
Yeah, yours, not mine.
No, I think it describes yours as well.
Excuse me, I'm an achiever.
Yeah, but
I was an overachiever.
Did you ever put in, more than the expected effort into any of your academic studies?
Are you kidding me? Always.
I don't.
I absolutely went above and beyond. You just because you didn't know me in high school and college, just because I became an adult and then it was like, oh wait, I actually don't need to do this. Doesn't mean that I wasn't back then.
Realization much earlier. We were both high achievers in school, right? But I realized quite early on that I could get the same or comparable level of achievement without really trying or doing anything.
No,
so
I was famously an overachiever, like branded so by my peers.
Right.
But in WoW, I am not an overachiever. I am an achiever, and
I'm a just about achiever.
Just about an achiever. So I've reached that point where like I've kind of maxed out what I can do basically as a solo player, like without organizing keys, without like jumping into raid. Like I'm chilling and I'm coasting, but I'm enjoying it. And I know that it's like the kind of progressive content is there for me, but like, do I want to do it at the end of the day, or do I want to just like sit down and eat nachos on the sofa and watch Daredevil? Like, honestly, it's like I have a choice.
If you want to like upgrade your gear beyond the heroic track level, then I mean, you've got two options, haven't you? You can go into Mythic Raid,
Yeah.
or you can go into Mythic Plus. And I would suggest that going into Mythic Plus 10s would be easier than going into Mythic Raid.
Baby,
particularly
I
for
haven't
solo
even done
player.
heroic,
Well,
darling.
exactly. So, I mean, and the fact that you are like all kitted out on heroic track gear kind of tells you everything you need to do, right?
Exactly.
So,
thank you, Delves.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
But Mythic track gear, unlike in Dragonflight, is kind of significantly more powerful than heroic track gear. Like back in Dragonflight, it was I think 3 item levels better it could be upgraded to. Really, the main thing was that it was just you got it at the higher level, but the track was only went like 3 item levels higher. This time it's considerably more. It's like 10 item levels. Something so it is definitely worth kind of going for. Yeah, absolutely. Especially, I mean, like even just so you have an easier time at the beginning of next season, or just so you can say you've got it. You can get the Mythic Track appearances from heroic track gear still, so that's okay as far as tier sets go. But I mean, is going into sort of like Mythic Plus 10s and something you might think about or you might try?
I would have to work my way up. I think the highest key I've done this season is a 4. So I'm gonna.
But you did it though.
I did do it, and I've done like a bunch of them at 4. So, and that's the thing. This has always been the step for me. It's like I love playing WoW mostly as a solo player. I love having my guild around. I love seeing like the guild chatter, and I love jumping into the guild when I feel like it and doing like guild runs. Everyone's super open, super accepting. But yeah, this has been actually a fun experiment, especially with delves becoming more rewarding. And getting, doing level 11s, tier 11s, and getting like the crests and stuff. So it's been fun, and it's kind of given me an extra couple weeks of like just solo focus play. But now I'm like, okay, that has sustained me for a couple more weeks. And now
I wonder if you'll get that Mythic Track itch. Like I feel like there's 3 things that can happen here. Either you just play WoW a bit less, which seems unlikely, or you kind of like go on a quest to kind of do better in Mythic Plus and eventually land on that gear. It's a good way of getting crests as well, of course. Or you start an alt and get that to a comparable level that you have your main at now.
Yeah, and I've had my eye on mage for a bit, and I have some mages like languishing.
I'm sorry, when you say a bit, you mean like literally since I've met you. Since I've known you, you've been like, I'm going to start a mage or a priest alt, and like you often do start them.
Yeah,
and they usually kind of hover about the 36 level by the time you're done with them.
Yeah,
I feel.
Yeah, I'm like a 3 class girl.
Like once they get older than you, you're done with them.
I think it just reflects my tastes in like role playing type characters. So I have my range. Like I've had my hunter, who is always going to be my main forever, and then a shadow priest, specifically shadow priest, which I sometimes am hesitant to play because if I do group content, they're like, well, I need a healer, and I'm like, I don't do that. So
oh right, yeah. Oh, okay. That's a great point, actually. Right? That is a really, really great point. Yeah, you want to be very careful that you don't play a class that can possibly be anything else.
I don't want my intentions to be misconstrued. And then mage, so just pure fun, flashy, ranged spellcaster DPS. So this is really just kind of like my triumvirate of the type of character I ever play in any video game.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, and you know what? I mean, maybe I will do some leveling on my languishing like army of mages.
Yeah, totally.
Because
at the very least, you need to make warband camps for them all, right?
Well,
like
exactly.
neglected mages, neglected priests.
Just all like just shivering around the campfire. But there will be a rep buff coming with 11.1.5. An experience buff.
Oh yeah, okay. So this is one of the things. We'll talk about this when we get onto the 11.1.5 stuff. Thank you for our first super chat of the broadcast.
Cheers,
a question we will definitely be coming back to at the end. I think that's a job for you.
It is.
We'll get to the end of the episode. We cunningly start our episodes 15 minutes earlier now, so the last 15 minutes isn't like Evie running to pick up the kids.
Yeah.
I was like, why don't we just make it 15 minutes earlier? Like you always miss the last 15 minutes.
Took us like a year to do
that.
this.
Yeah. I've got a plan. And using our logic, using our WoW brain logic. That's why we're the best players in the world. So for me, my WoW experience in the last week has been basically changing up my spec. For all levels of game. I've been playing, so I play Discipline Priest, and lucky me, meta City for me this season
Oracle.
and last season.
Right.
So I've always been played Discipline Priest ever since Mists of Pandaria, particularly with the Legion changes that kind of changed the whole concept of it to being like healing through damage and stuff like that. I just find it the most fun play style of not just healers, but pretty much any spec in the entire game. I think it's great. I think it's really good. I'm wedded to it. I love it. I play it even when numerically and meta-wise it's trash. It happens to be incredibly meta at the moment. And I was always like, well, this gives me a great example because I have like 15 years worth of muscle memory in here.
Of course.
And I think it does help me. Makes me appear better than I am. But that muscle memory's all been shot to shit because, Oracle is now the go-to spec for not just Raid. I've been doing it in Raid a little bit where it's kind of easy. You just use your Oracle thing as a kind of cooldown that you hit on your ramp. But also now in Mythic Plus as well. So I've been all the top disc Mythic Pluses, they're using Oracle, and it's not as cool as Void Weaver. You don't get all like the purpley effects and the big purple ball and the kind of like cool Shadow Fiend ball and stuff, and it's slightly less good in AoE, but it like has amazing kind of spot absorbs and stuff like that. So like it's potentially at the moment, I think it will get nerfed, but it will probably still be pretty powerful even after the nerf. It's what all the top disc players are playing, right? So I've had to kind of be practicing that. And you know me, Evie, I hate change. Change sucks. Change scares me. Change offends me. And this entire experience has been pretty miserable, honestly.
So what, do you get into a group and people are like, you running Oracle or what?
People were saying on my stream, they were surprised I was still playing Void Weaver. And I was like, oh, okay. Is Oracle the thing now? And I was like, I had to go and watch some guides and stuff like that. I was like, oh my gosh, okay. So I got all my talents set up and I'm going in and, it's obviously I can tell what's going on and I can see why it's powerful and stuff like that. But the muscle memory and the kind of like, when stuff goes wrong, when stuff goes wrong and you hit a button which saves the day without even thinking about it.
Yes.
That kind of muscle memory that was there in Void Weaver for me is just not there right now. So like I'm just having to think about everything and the whole kind of flow of it and the whole kind of rhythm of it a little bit more than I would really love right now, honestly. Fair. So I mean, there's that. But it's all Oracle all of the time. And it's kind of nice because it makes your eyes glowy or yellow and you get like a cool symbol in front of your head.
Right?
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I like that. And I got a little weak aura that tells me which of the rotation of like the premonitions is coming up next and things like that. But yeah, it's fine. It's good. I don't hate it.
Oh, that's good. That's
unlike
praise.
Unlike patch 11.1.5.
Oh, no.
That shit sucks. Are you kidding me? Can I bring up your screen?
Yes.
Because I noticed you've got the thing on your screen right now. So we are all excited about the new World of Warcraft patch 11.1.5.
Coming very soon, actually, on April 22nd.
Coming on schedule, right? So let me just take this off and put this on. Right. There you are. There you go. There's your screen, okay? So you might want to make that full screen. There we go. And we did finally this week get news about 11.1.5. The release date is exactly what we all thought it would be. Patch 11.15 is coming on the 22nd of this month, Evertel. April. 2 Tuesdays away, I think that is, right? Yeah, 2 Tuesdays away. Or at least I should say some of it is. Because not all of 11.15 is coming on the 22nd of April.
No, it's not, is it?
In fact, basically none of it.
Hey, excuse me. The cooldown manager is coming on the 22nd, which is going to shake things up for the weak aura lovers amongst us.
Before we actually get onto this topic, I want to address the cooldown manager, okay? Because as you know, I made a very long video about playing WoW without add-ons, whereby I got to Keystone Hero, 500 rating. There was no achievement for 3K rating back then, but if I did that challenge now, I'll take it to 3K. But on a healer, 2 tanks, and a non-meta DPS with no add-ons on our characters. Okay.
Yes.
And got to the bottom and played it, and
it was a great video.
It turned out it's actually very, very possible, right? But one of the things I was like, this needs to change, and one of the things that Blizz could introduce would be an aura tracking. Which is kind of probably why Weak Auras was developed in the first place, now you think about it. But like tracking like buffs on you, tracking like your dots on other kind of mobs and things like that, tracking effects on you, which is not really possible in the base UI these days. So I got really excited when I heard about the cooldown manager, especially as Ian himself, face-to-face at Goodwood in the UK, had given me a little heads up that something like that would be coming, right?
Yeah, I recall.
And little did I know he was about to shit on my head and spit in my face.
I thought you were into that.
Well, I mean, I was not prepared. I was expecting to be fluffed well and truly with 11.1.5. And what happened instead? I got the shit and I got the spit. And it's just like I wasn't in the right place for it. I wasn't in the right mindset. So the cooldown manager is not that, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
So it is on the PTR. Maybe I'm just not doing it right. Maybe I just can't find the options to really kind of play with it properly. But at the moment, it's basically it's very much kind of like the fake auras that I managed to set up with the UI anyway, but not to do with your action bars, and a separate thing, which you can kind of put there. Doesn't seem to be any option to kind of change which abilities are even included in the bars, unless that's an option somewhere that I'm missing, but I can't seem to be able to find it. And what it does is it shows, just like the kind of action bar icons, it kind of shows the cooldown of a thing when you've used it, but it does also show when an effect like, say, power infusion or like your cooldown or something is also active on you as well. So that's good.
Yes.
That's like an improvement, but it's a bit weird. It feels very unfinished at the moment, which is why it's kind of strange that it is apparently coming as one of the release things of patch 9.1.5. Can you just get the schedule back up again?
11.1.
11.1.5. Sorry, yeah.
I know.
Whatever. If I say any other number, just go fuck yourself and imagine in your head that I've said 11.1.5. Okay, like just
That's
get
a lot
over
to do
it.
at once.
It's absolutely fine.
That's a
okay,
lot to
like yeah. All right, just like put the chip in your head that changes any other number to 11.1.5, because that's all we're talking about from now on.
Fair.
So like, it does feel
so you're
weird.
Not, you're not
it feels unfinished on the on the PTR at the moment. It's another step on the road to getting to a really great place with this stuff, where you don't need kind of weak auras or anything for combat add-ons. But it's not the answer that we need.
It's not fully fledged.
No, not at all. It's a very teeny tiny step.
Well, maybe that's how they want to unveil it. Maybe they want to ease people into having these new features, testing them live basically, and then seeing how it goes.
Oh, well, absolutely. Yeah. But like another effect that probably has is people that were specifically waiting for something like it will try it when it's released, see that it's not what they quite wanted, and discard it in their mind then. So even when it is improved, they don't notice sort of thing. So that's always a danger as well.
Possible.
So I'd be interested to see how that actually launches and to see if there are more customization options about it. And, as we look at this 11.1.5 content update kind of schedule that Blizzard tweeted, it's surprising. And it's surprising for a number of reasons. One is that the launch so one thing we did know was that not all of the content would be available from the very beginning of the patch, which in of itself is not terrible. In of itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. I kind of think with a 0.5 patch, it's always going to be preferable just to chuck everything in. Let people go wild. Like, it's a mid patch. No need to make it a mid-patch. Like, get people excited, put all of that content in. If it slightly overwhelms people, give a shit, man.
Yeah,
like,
exactly,
none of the
yeah.
features in the 0.5 patch are ever big enough to really overwhelm anyone. Like, it's meant to be there just to give people new stuff to do. So give them new stuff to do,
Yes.
and let them make of that what they will. The content that we've tested on the PTR is kind of a bit time gated anyway, even within the content. So yeah, I just straight from the off, I would have preferred having everything out there in the open. But we did know from various splash screens that came up on the PTR that not all of the content would be launching.
Exactly.
What is surprising is what content is actually launching right in the very
Yes.
beginning. Because we can see that April the 22nd sees Nightfall and the cooldown manager. That is the opening content.
It's kind of wild to have the cooldown manager as like the
Well,
headline.
I mean, that's how when the cooldown manager is your headline, you're spreading yourself a bit thin, I feel. like
That's crazy. But you're right. So when this was announced and when info started coming out, we knew we would get horrific visions. And then this dastardly duos scenario.
That's right.
Right?
But can I show you something? And this is why it's caught a lot of people by surprise. Can I show you
course.
something?
Yes,
this is the
please.
splash screen that's been showing on the PTR, and it's actually still on the PTR now when you log in with a new character on the PTR, and it's like day one of 11.1.5, the number that I keep changing just for lols, right? And as you can see, it says what's new in patch 11.1.5, tick cooldown manager.
Yeah.
Okay, so, and horrific visions revisited, coming soon, dastardly duos. Now, would this suggest to you, Evertel, that cooldown managers and horrific visions revisited was releasing on the same day?
Yes, it
Yeah,
would.
yeah.
Because in contrast to coming soon, dastardly duos.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like,
This is like very much right now.
yeah.
You have cooldown manager and horrific visions revisited.
Yeah.
No mention of Nightfall. So I think the assumption was from most people who are looking at stuff on the PTR that horrific visions would be the day one content.
Yes.
And along with cooldown manager, and that other things would be coming later on, and that we would hope that Nightfall would be a day one thing as well, but maybe not, whatever. I'm glad you agree with me. Hopefully the people in the chat agree with me as well.
Oh yeah, based on
this
this
splash
that you would have
screen,
seen on the
which is
PTR.
still on the PTR, by the way, so presumably that's going to have to change now that we've had the
Possibly.
actual schedule. But I think this definitely suggests that Blizzard's original intention was to release Horrific Visions on day one, or definitely on the same day as Cooldown Manager, the same kind of week as Cooldown Manager.
Interesting.
And we know that Cooldown Manager is coming on day one. So a lot of people speculating that we think it's been changed and wondering why that's the case, right? Because it's certainly not the case anymore. Horrific Visions is actually coming a full...
almost a month. It comes out on May 20th.
A full month later.
May 20th. That's
So
crazy.
what that means is, and we'll get on to other implications later on, but what that means right now, in the short term, is that Nightfall is going to be your only new content to play with the patch for a full month.
That is
What do you think of that, Abby?
wild. Well, I mean, worth talking about what we're actually going to experience in Nightfall.
Yeah, have you tested it?
I have not tested it.
I have.
How is it? I mean, it's basically
It's a
scenario.
mid-patch event. Okay?
Yeah, exactly.
So
It's an invasion event, right?
it's like every mid-patch event you can possibly think of. It follows that tried and true method that they've been doing since Dragonflight. I would compare it to like the Researchers event. I would compare it to Time Rifts. I would compare it to like a combat version of the theater event. So it's that thing where, you go to a certain area in Hallowfall, and all the big dudes and big ladies are like, hey, there's going to be a big attack. And you're like, well, yeah, count me in. And you click on it and it's on a timer. It happens like on a timer. And when it starts, you go, yeah, let's start. And then it's like, hopefully there'll be like 1,000 of you doing it or whatever. And everyone will get different tasks to do, right? So it'll be like, go over here and kill as many of these things as you can. There's like a timer going on. And then you go over there for a minute and you kill all those things. And it's like, great, go over here and do this thing. And then you fly over there and you do that thing. And it's like, go over here and do this thing. And then there's a big thing to kill at the end sort of thing. And you get your currency, you get your drops, you go in, you increase your renown or whatever, you get your like your amazing new recolors of the Arathi sets, the cool like white ones that look like
they do look
like
cool,
the
actually.
rare kind of looks like they're following the Overwatch theme there of it's
Yes.
like the shiny kind of like chromy like white one. That's the top tier one, right? That's the legendary skin. So that's what they're doing there. But it's nothing that we haven't seen before, is what I'm saying.
Of course.
And is it going to be fun when there's like 100 people there doing it? Yeah, it'll be fun. Is it going to be like a really nice thing to do with alts, especially when the Winds of Mysterious Fortune buff is on, right? And everyone's getting extra like XP with it as well. Yeah, of course. Are the rewards really cool to collect? Yeah, obviously. But it's not gonna get people shaking with delight and anticipation. Put it that way. When people do it for the first time, what they're going to do is they're going to go, oh, that was neat. Yeah, that was a pretty good example
cool.
of that type of like WoW content that we're all pretty used to with every kind of mid-patch now. What they won't be saying is, wow, I'm so glad Horrific Visions aren't coming for another month, because there's absolutely no way I could possibly fit that in alongside all of the fun I'm having with this Nightfall event. Nuh-uh. I'm just so glad that I get this entire month to focus on the Nightfall with nothing else. No other distractions at all. No poxy, dastardly duos. No distracting Horrific Visions. Thank goodness. Thank you, Ian, for letting me focus on this grade A 9-carat content, which is Nightfall. I don't think anyone's going to be saying that.
No. I mean, I have thoughts on this, but we'll get to them in a minute. So you also get this Winds of Mysterious Fortune buff.
Sure, and I know people love XP buffs, right?
Yes.
I know like people, it's one of the things that people get really excited about when there's like a big XP buff event. For me, it doesn't really, I guess there's some guys I've got at 70 which I can level up to 80, right?
Yeah,
Which
you're
would
good.
be nice. That'd be fine. But I'm generally okay, and you know, all my alts are usually in order by this point of the expansions, so
Yeah.
it's not the kind of thing that really excites me. But I can see how that does open up new content for people. as
Yeah,
well,
for
of course it
chumps like me, it's like the little nudge that I need to be like, hey, go level up one of those mages.
can. Yeah, is
just
it really
finish
though?
it.
Or are you gonna do that? Is that something that's
I
gonna happen?
might. I mean, I remember Legion Invasions, like leveling up my characters in those, and that was a blast.
That was a pre-patch to an expansion. It's not the same thing.
I know.
It's not
Listen,
the
I'm trying to hype. I'm just trying to hype myself up a little bit here. Will I take advantage of the XP buff? And I think it's something like 20%. It's not like massive.
Yeah.
I mean, probably. So that's what you get from April 22nd. You get this Nightfall scenario.
Yeah.
Defending Hallowfall from the Sareki. You get to play with the cooldown manager.
If there is
Which
much
is
playing
fun.
to do with the cooldown manager, but there's there's something else I don't like about the Hallowfall event.
No?
Yeah, there's something else that I dislike about it, and I'm gonna see if I've got some footage of it.
Oh, yeah,
here.
okay.
Really quick.
You pull that up.
Let me see. Just
So-
pulling up my
so,
NAS
yeah.
drive in the middle of a stream, which probably isn't a good idea since they share like an Ethernet connection. No, that's not going to work for me.
Okay.
But it happens in Hallowfall, right?
Yes.
And it's on a timer. And the whole idea about it is that, you know, these are some like extra specially nasty Sareki attacks, right?
Yes.
You know, like Hallowfall is a zone which, by its definition and the whole story of it, the whole vibe of it is like these are people with their backs up against the wall, right? These are people who are defending their home against like constant attacks, constant invasion, all that cool shit by the wall, and like, you know, all the Nerubian attacks constantly coming out and attacking them and whatever. And, you know, there's reason to believe that the attacks will probably have died down by now, because, you know, we killed Queen Ansarek. We've replaced, the leadership has been like subtly, quietly replaced, and like soft power is working down there. So these attacks are happening from the last like remnants of Ansarek's kind of like loyalists and stuff like that. But, you know, they are finally, they're just like one last throw of the dice. They're coming up to Hallowfall and they're attacking and stuff like that. And, you know, I object to the fact that these highly evolved Nerubians, extra specially void infused Nerubians, don't know what all the other Nerubians know which is if you're going to attack Hallowfall, do it when the crystal is purple.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So this event is on a timer, but that timer doesn't necessarily coincide with Belladar being in its void state.
Right.
So
okay.
most of the time when you're doing, this is such a silly thing, but it actually affected me more than I thought. Most of the time when you're doing this event, the Belladar is going to be in its light form, right? And so most of the time when you're doing it, you're fighting all of the like these Nerubians, but it's like just bright sunshine, and you do it in a particularly luscious green part of the zone.
Sure. Well,
and
because they're attacking.
It just doesn't feel very dangerous, is what I'm saying. Like, it's supposed to be like the whole point in the Hallowfall is like, oh my god, we're dwindling numbers and we're fighting for our very lives here. So when you're just like dicking around in a field with one or two like Nerubians that have come up in the bright sunshine,
it sounds kind of idyllic.
It just doesn't feel great to me. And like, you know, you've got two choices here. Or three choices. You can either do what they're doing, which I think is like rather unimpactful. Okay. Like, and you know, loads of people in the chat laughing at me here, but I don't know, man. When you do the event, see how you feel. Like, bear in mind my words when you said it, and just consider in your mind as you're doing the event, would this be better if the crystal was purple? And I think you would all agree that it would be. Okay. Right. Like, just think to yourself when you're doing the event. Just imagine my voice like this. Hello, it is me, Taliesin. Would this be better if the crystal was purple? It's a simple yes/no answer, right?
Sure,
and if you can answer yes, then you're going to agree with me. And I just think it'd be better if the crystal was purple. Now, so they've got three choices. They can just keep it the same as it is, which I think is bad and unimpactful.
Okay, fair.
2, they could only have the event happening when the crystal turns purple in the zone, as it does now, which would be for 30 minutes every 4 hours. I think it's on a more regular timer than that. I'd have to check. I think these events usually happen more than once every 4 hours, right? So that doesn't seem to work. Okay, well, 3, why don't we just change Belladar to change to like purple every single time that the event happens? And just like change the cycle that Belladar's on.
Okay.
Like,
why
and
not?
if the attacks really are getting worse in Hallowfall, then maybe Belladar's getting worse as well. What's the worst that can happen?
Well, maybe that will happen.
Maybe it will, but it's not happening on the
PTR
PTR at the moment. There's no like suggestion that it will.
Yeah.
But I mean,
sure.
like the only real effect that would have on the world, apart from making the Nightfall, it's called Nightfall. The only effect that would have on the world, apart from the Nightfall event, which currently happens in broad daylight, like being better, would be that there'd be more opportunities for people to get the mount drop from the.
Well, exactly.
But who cares? Is that bad?
No,
is that
people
thing. Are bringing that up as a criticism, and the reason it can't happen? People, but tally.
Give the spawn.
There'd be more opportunities to get the mount. It's like, oh shit, my heart bleeds. That's terrible news.
Okay,
You're right.
But listen, there's loads of stuff on the PTR, but I'm assuming there's loads of story in Nightfall that is not playable at the moment, right?
Story around it?
Yeah.
There's no suggestion on the roadmap that there's going to be extra story in this patch.
Okay.
There was no story quests mentioned on the roadmap. There's no story quests on the PTR.
I thought there would be in Nightfall.
No,
I thought that was
it really
kind of the
is
whole
just
thing.
like you go to the hub and your quartermasters and stuff are there, and they're like, whoa, oi, these attacks are getting bad. Oh, by the way, the attacks are so bad that we're a new type of like a Wrathy kind of like A team that are here. That's why we've got these lovely white uniforms.
Right.
Hey, help us out and we'll give you a tabard and some armor. What do you reckon? Oh, and a mailbox pet. Boom. Excellent. There's a new cat pet which works as a mailbox. No, that's cool.
Yeah,
it's dressed in that cool
good.
white armor. I'm completely down with it. I think it's awesome. But there's no real, like, you know, you speak to them and they say why they're doing what they're doing, but it's not a story quest
Okay.
yet.
Oh, wow. Okay. For some reason, I assumed there would be more story.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. So there are a couple of things that you might think would be in 11.1.5 that aren't there, like that. Another.
I just want to put a lid on that and just say I think that Belladar should go purple for Nightfall event. That's all. I'm with you. I think it should. I think it's wild that it's not. I think it's weird that it's not. Yeah, I'm on your side now. I think you've swayed me over. I think there is a major danger, and actually, it's not a danger. It's a guarantee. It's an absolute cast iron inevitability that when this patch launches, people will be very underwhelmed with the Nightfall event because they will be quite reasonably saying, what, this is what we've got to do for another month, and that's not the impact you want a patch to have, right? That's not what you want. You want people to be like, whoa, cool.
Yeah.
And I think the content that is in this patch altogether, people go, oh, wow, cool. But then when it launches, they're going to be like, underwhelming. And honestly, I know it sounds silly and I know people laugh at me, but the Nightfall event happening in broad daylight with a big glowy gold crystal makes it even more underwhelming than it would be otherwise.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
And I just don't know why you do that.
Yep.
Okay, so it's a toy, it's not a pet. Sorry, my mistake. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But add it to the list of mailbox toys. Yeah, it's
There
cool.
you
It's a
go.
cat. It's an armor. Yay. Sorry, I interrupted you and I apologize.
No, that's all right. So I mean, I kind of assumed that there would be more story coming in Nightfall, kind of substantial story. Okay, but maybe
there
not.
will be, but
Maybe there
it
will
doesn't
be.
seem so.
You know, there's still stuff that they could add that's just not on the PTR.
I wouldn't bet on it.
Another thing that people are missing, which has not shown up in this content update graphic for us, it hasn't been mentioned since it was a while ago, was the puzzling cartel chips.
Oh, we want to go there?
Well,
We want to go to the puzzling cartel chips?
I'm just saying, we were told that they're going to come in 11.1.5 because they're originally going to be part of the Raid Renown track. It was supposed to be at Renown 17 and 19. And people rightfully were like, I'm not going to grind my ass off just to this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make you're putting a catch up mechanic within something that I need to catch up anyway. Why? So they scrapped that and they were like, okay. And I think it was in an interview with Ian actually, with Nagura at Goodwood, where he confirmed and he was like, you are going to get everyone is going to get their dinar, their puzzling cartel chip in 11.1.5. There has been no mention of that since.
Well, that is also, it's worth mentioning, the only source we have that the puzzling cartel chip is coming in.
Exactly.
11.1.5.
So,
and it's a good source.
Yeah.
It's like from the horse's mouth, as it were, when he's not shitting on my head and pissing in my face with the release schedule 11.1.5. It's a good source. It's, the head honcho himself, right?
Yeah.
So I have no reason to believe it won't be coming in 11.1.5.
Presumably it will, but it's not there.
Let's be real.
It's not in there.
Looking at that schedule and the way it ekes out the content like Chinese water torture, is there any reason to believe it won't be literally the last day of 11.1.5 that you get those puzzling cartel chips?
That would be cold.
For those of you who don't know,
cold.
the puzzling cartel chip is the thing that lets you buy basically any bit of raid loot from a vendor.
Exactly.
Boom, go for it. Yay, it's free gear basically. It's been in the game before a couple of times, but always in the fated season.
Yes.
Always in the mop-up season where there's not even a new raid or anything like that, and its impact competitively, one might say, would be minimal. And so it was a big deal when it arrived on the Galagio Renown track, because this was the first time it had been in an active kind of season in a way, which wasn't a fated season. So we are still waiting for news on that. So that's not addressed on the content update schedule. I said when 11.5 was announced and the content for 11.1.5 was announced, I thought that the puzzling cartel ship would be coming with Horrific Visions. And looking at this schedule,
do you think that's
my mind
true?
has not been changed.
Okay.
In fact,
All right.
I think it's possibly even more likely. Now, actually, Horrific Visions are very testable at the moment, to the extent where people are saying, well, Horrific Visions is obviously going to be, they've delayed it. Like what we said earlier, it looked like Horrific Visions on the splash screen would be launching on day one. That's not happening now. So people quite understandably are like, something's gone wrong. They've delayed it. It doesn't seem like that from the PTR. It seems all in place. It seems all ready to go. It seems weird to me that Horrific Visions is not going to be out for a full month afterwards. Is that the same for you, Evie?
Yeah. Do you think this has to do with, I'm imagining a kind of wider patch cadence and like release philosophy that they have, which has been pretty much like, we have nonstop content now. Like, you guys didn't like it when there were lulls. Like, okay, now we have a roadmap, we have a schedule, and we're pretty good at keeping to it. But as a consequence of that, it feels like things are just like a little more. I don't know. We get the announcements of we get more stuff, but it's kind of more spread out.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. I don't know. That's what it feels like to me. But it does feel a bit strange that Horrific Visions is going to be a month after the launch, and I'm like, well, what are people going to be doing?
I feel like time gating is a word that we are using for this.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's not a word we've used to describe WoW since about Shadowlands. I feel like since the new sort of philosophy change that came about towards the end of Shadowlands and really took hold of the game in Dragonflight and War Within, I feel like we just haven't used that word, you know? And here we are using it again. Yeah. And that's got to be a bad thing, right? And I don't think that's great. And I think the worst crime you can commit with a new patch is to make the launch of it underwhelming. And I think this definitely will do that. And so that's why I'm against it. I'm not necessarily against, like, you know, I wouldn't necessarily be against Terrific Visions coming in week 1 or 2, or 2 or 3, I should say, you know, like 1 or 2 weeks after the launch. But the whole full month, that just seems absolutely wild to me. It doesn't seem like, it seems like a bad idea.
I agree. And I think it's also compounded by the fact that, you know, each of these features, like Horrific Visions, like the Dastardly Duos, which we'll talk about in a minute, which is its own feature, each of these also has its own like weekly time gating. So Horrific Visions, you upgrade your, you know, self as you go through them. And that's on like a weekly unlock.
So I would like to point out that Horrific Visions in itself, as content just by itself, has more time gating than I would actually like for a 0.5 patch
I
as
agree.
well.
I agree, especially when you're waiting for it for so long.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you start it, and then you're
worse.
like, oh, okay, so I'm not going to be powerful enough to do this until 4 weeks. You know,
maybe they'll scrap that with that in mind. But at the moment, there's time gating in 2 different areas of Horrific Visions. So the time gating isn't as bad as Horrific Visions was in a BFA. So in BFA, you could only really do a couple of Horrific Visions a week because you had to do all your like dailies and weeklies and stuff, and you would save up and get your keys, which gave you access to the Horrific Visions, and then you better hope you didn't dick up because you needed the shit that you got from Horrific Visions to increase your legendary cloak level, and that would allow you to equip more corrupted gear without penalty, and just give you more stats and stuff anyway. So it was really, really important. You needed that for Mythic Plus, you needed that for Raid. It was really important that you didn't dick up your Horrific Visions, which obviously led to very, very nerve-wracking and conservative play in Horrific Visions because like Islands before them, like Warfronts before them, like Torghast after them, you know, they had a really neat little feature that they basically capped people's enjoyment of by tying it to like mainline player power progression, which meant that you would do 2 or 3 a week, no more, no less, get what you needed to do, and you like came to resent that content. But that's what happened with Islands, what happened with Warfronts and Torghast as well, and it had definitely happened with Horrific Visions too. And one of the joys of testing Horrific Visions on the PTR has been that you can enter as many times as you like.
I think that's pretty cool.
I think it's brilliant. Nice. And it actually like unlocked a whole new level of Horrific Visions for me because I wasn't looking forward to Horrific Visions at all. I didn't really like them that much in BFA. But I was going around and exploring and like experimenting and trying new things and
trying different masks.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe getting the achievements.
Playing them the way that is the most fun way to play them, and like actually getting the most out of the format, which is something I never really did in BFA until like right at the very end when we were all overpowered and stuff like that, and I didn't need to upgrade my cloak anymore and stuff like that. So that in itself, a great example of how restrictions that Blizzard used to put on this content being lifted was, you know, absolutely the right way to go. Like Torghast suddenly got really good in 11.2 when they were just like, just go in as much as you like.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Just
Like it's a gauntlet now.
Yeah,
Go for it.
exactly.
And
like,
it got
if
so
you die,
much better.
whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
And like you don't need you don't need it for your you can grind the legendary currency as much as you like in there, and you can just go in and get cool like cosmetics and stuff. And that's what all of this content should be, and it shouldn't be gated. So the gating that does exist though on the new Horrific Visions is, I don't know if you remember, but back in BFA there was Mother's Console. I never forget your Mother's Console.
No.
But you had Mother's Console, which had like some nodes on it, and they would help you in Horrific Visions. So give you more insanity, stop the rate at which insanity would go down or slower it, give you more damage and healing and stuff like that. That exists again in Horrific Visions, except it's the sand dial of Horrific Visions because it's all connected to the Bronze Dragonflight now. So and it's a tree that goes down. It's got like 3 layers and a big node at the end, 3 nodes on each layer, and it says on the PTR that in the first week only the first 3 nodes will be available to buy, and then in the second week, currently on the PTR, the next 6 will be available. Okay. I've got a feeling they'll probably do like just the second 3 available in the second week when it comes down to it. Sure. Now, there's nothing to stop you going to Horrific Visions and collecting all of the currency that you want. Yeah. So you can like cap out, if there is a cap, on the currency in preparation for the next week and buy them all straight away again when they become available. But the rate at which they open is still going to be gated. The other second gating thing is the new head enchants, the corrupted runes. The lesser runes are available in the first week, or in the first week they're available. No guarantee that's actually going to be the first week yet. Who knows on the PTR when everything is available at once. And it feels brilliant, by the way, to have everything available at once.
Of course it does.
But the wording of that definitely suggests that the greater runes won't be available until at least the week after. Okay. The lesser ones are.
And those just go in your head slot, right?
Yes. So lots of talk about the corruptions coming back. Wowhead have a great article today, or yesterday, or whatever it was, actually analysing the numbers on these corruptions. And currently, the corruption enchants are less than 1% damage increase. So the wild days of 8.3 and Twilight Devastation just absolutely ruining everything and
never
just like
forget.
Demolishing and annihilating content. Currently, and I stress that word, right? Currently, that will not be happening.
Right.
There is one which is kind of like a 10% increase, which is the stat increase one. Which is, what is it? It's Void Ritual, which just increases your stats. But all the ones that you remember from the glory days, like Gushing Wound, Void Appendage, Infinite Stars, they currently on the present numbers are trash. I mean, like, if you don't want, and if that does go live, then the thinking behind it is quite clear. Here's their tier list. Is that if people don't want to do Horrific Visions, they don't have to.
There's no need to do
I would argue that like just opening everything up and letting everyone grind it as much as they want means it's an hour's work for anyone, and and they'll have fun, and just let them do it, please Biz. But yeah, at the moment they're kind of, apart from the stat one, which everyone is going to want, because like a 5 to 10% increase in your damage is going to be lovely, isn't it? Isn't that going to be great?
Very welcome.
Everyone's going to want that, right? But I think it's also probably worth mentioning, it's very unlikely these numbers are going to go live. Like, I feel like, there is currently about a month and a half before this content goes live. Damn you, Ian! So I currently, they're majority trash, but majority not trash. But one isn't trash. But like, I find it very unlikely they're going to go live with these numbers, right? Do you think?
No, they can't. And I mean, it's on the PTR, right? It's all still being tested. Although
I don't think the stat one is going to go live as powerful as this, and I don't think the damage one's going to go live as unpowerful as this. I feel like it's very obviously going to get changed. So people are like reacting to it as if this has gone live right now, and I think that's maybe a slight overreaction.
I mean, we have until May 20th.
What?
Right? They've got
Don't
themselves
remind me!
They've got themselves that extra month.
Boo! So I think the potential for Horrific Visions is great and really, really good. I would like to see them. I'd like to see it launch on day one, but it's not going to. Now it's set in stone, this schedule, which I think is a big mistake. Big mistake. I don't think it's a great idea. And given that already the scheduling is bad for it, I think. I would love to see them just remove any and all time gating within the content itself. I think it's dumb. I think it's old-fashioned. I think it's outdated. And I think like we're in a stage still. I think we're still in a stage where the game got to a point where, I mean, are our reactions about this tiny, minimal amount of time gating, are they overreactions? Probably, yeah. But I think they're understandable overreactions because of where the game has been in the recent past.
Absolutely.
And I think Blizzard are unfortunately still at the stage where, okay, because sometimes I get in a bit of a mood, and sometimes I'm a bit mean to you. Because we're married, right?
Well.
And, we know each other really well. I'm really comfortable with each other. And you're never mean to me. It just never happens. It's it's not a thing, right? But sometimes I get in a mood and I'm angry about something or whatever, and I'm a bit mean to you. Like, I might snap at you, or you might say something like did you do this thing? And I'm like, yes, of course I did this fucking thing, right? Like, something like that. And I feel bad about that afterwards. And I know, furthermore, that for our marriage to stay strong and healthy and with all the good loving, I'm going to have to kind of like make up for that a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be like super extra nice to you and not snap at you at all for a time. And in that time of penance and atonement, I will not, like, even if you frankly fucking deserve it, or if I disagree with you about anything, I'm just not going to say it. I'm just going to be like, you know what? I'm still feeling bad about when I snapped at her for no real reason earlier, or yesterday, or last week, or last month, or last year. I'm still not at a stage where I can actually, like, even though she should know that she's doing this thing wrong, I'm not going to tell her because it's not my place to, because I'm still on atonement mode, right? And I feel like that's
Is this a metaphor?
I feel like that's where Blizz are right now. Okay. I feel like Blizz kind of hurt everyone deeply with the time gating in certain content, up to and including Shadowlands. And yes, it was much better in Dragonflight, and yes, it's a billion times better in War Within, to the extent where we never even really say the word because it's just not a thing. But they're still not at a stage where even a tiny bit they can reintroduce that. Because I think even if it's fine, even if it's okay, the player base won't consider it okay. Because they will see it and they'll go, here we go. It's back again. Here we fucking go. Oh my God. It's back. It's bringing up all these bad memories.
I know.
It feels like you haven't changed. You said you changed, but you haven't changed. And I'm not even making fun of that reaction. I think that's a reasonable reaction. And I think what this proves is that Blizzard aren't quite there yet in having sort of got the player base's trust with being able to do something like this. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, and I think this comes down to the fact that we have gotten loads of stuff. I think there is lots to do in the game still, and I think there will be for a while. I'm certainly going to have lots to do in the next couple of months, even without 11.1.5. But yeah, I agree with you completely. Like if you these kind of like established patterns, and it's stuff we've already seen before. Okay, fair. It's a format we've seen before, fair. But then, with that comes also the feelings we had the first time that stuff came around, right?
Yeah.
So I
don't get me wrong,
I
I love a good open world grind.
Yeah,
okay.
Sure.
I love a good kind of sort of event grind to get cool stuff. What I don't want is that to be time-gated. And like, I love that I can go into Mythic Plus, I love that I can go into Horrific Visions as much as I like. Really enjoyed that on the PTR. Ended up spending a lot more time testing it than I thought I was going to. I was enjoying it so much. Because, yeah, it felt so novel, as someone who remembers Horrific Visions very well, like I do, just be able to go in there as much as you like. And it's like, I'll try it with this mask this time, I'll try it with this mask this time, I'll try it with all these masks together. And it felt great how... well, for a start, it's not as hard as Horrific Visions were at first either, because that was at the very beginning of a patch where all your gearing, was beginning of patch levels. Now we're in a 0.5 patch. We're all raid geared. Yeah. So we're going in, and it's a lot easier right from the very beginning, and it feels good. It feels as it should feel for the content it is and the space it is filling. And I would like to see them remove all this time gating nonsense.
Yeah, and the feeling I get from 11.1.5, which I get with a lot of 0.5 patches, is like, optional. I mean, genuinely.
Well, not if this is a 10% damage increase.
Well, apart from that, with that one rune, but research. Optional. A lot of things. If you're not really feeling like grinding, if you don't really want to do it, you realize that you can kind of skip it or catch up on it. I think that's okay. Again, for like kind of a super casual player who's like, you know what? I'm not going to bother with this, but I'm also not going to be like penalized for not bothering with it. I think that's fine. But I think, like you say, because all of this, Horrific Visions and the Dastardly Duos, it all feels like kind of optional. Like, I agree that they should remove kind of the time gating elements within the events as well, because I think it's like just having a bit of a free for all feels good. Like, if this is catch up time, if this is level up your alts time, like why force spread it out? Like why not just let it all happen at once?
Doesn't make sense to me. I want to be like, on day one, I want to be like, oh, cool, Horrific Visions. I want to do this. And then I'm like, oh shit, the Nightfall event is starting. I better not go into this next Horrific Vision. I better make my way to Hallowfall and do that and be like...
It's nice to feel inundated with things.
Yeah,
totally.
It's cool. I love that overwhelmed feeling that you get at the beginning of a major patch.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. Yeah. And I love to hear what they're thinking. Oh, I know what their thinking would be on this. I know what they would say if we asked them, right? But for me... And I think a majority of players, when they saw this schedule, their first reaction was, oh. And that is not the reaction you want when the schedule for your new patch comes out, right? No. So there is another big question that this schedule raises as well, by the way. Because you'll notice, like, Dastardly Duos comes out on June the 2nd. June 3rd. Sorry, I can't see it on my little screen here. And June 4th for you,
all
maybe.
Of us, yeah.
And, like, it goes on till July the 16th. And I think a lot of people make the assumption, fairly reasonably, that at the earliest, 11.1.7, the patch that will come out before 11.2 would therefore not launch before July the 16th.
That makes sense to me.
Exactly.
Looking at the schedule.
And that would make this an incredibly long 0.5 patch, longer than we have, I think, I'm sure someone correct me if I'm wrong, we have ever had before since Dragonflight introduced these 0.1, 0.5 and 0.7 patches to be like the kind of like two mid patches rather than just the one, so that's got people a little bit on edge as well, because they're going, well, okay, this patch looks like it's going to be a good, like 2 weeks to a month longer than you'd expect. What does that mean for 11.17? What does that mean for 11.2 eventually coming out? And I think that's a reasonable fear as well. To the extent that I actually think 11.17 has to come out before this schedule is over.
Okay, interesting.
We've had Holly Longdale telling us specifically in interviews that they aim for like an 8 to 10 week turnaround, preferably 8 with these patches, right? Yeah. Like, you are looking at more than that on this schedule. So I think, we're looking at June the 18th or the 24th for
Okay.
11.1.7.
Interesting.
Because 11.1.7 is on the roadmap, but there's no chance they're not going to do it. There are story quests in there. There are new updates in there. At one point, the 0.7 patches are brilliant for leading people into the story of the next major patch. It does a lot of the groundwork, so you can like really hit the ground running in those major patches. Works really well, like from a narrative point of view, from a story point of view, as well as like this feeling that there's always content coming.
Yeah.
I would be I think Dastardly Duos, like Brawlers Guild, is going to be a regular event that kind of happens, which in that sense, even though it is coming out in patch 11.1.5, it is not specifically 11.1.5 content.
Yes.
It's like...
And I think actually that putting the June 3rd to July 15th on the infographic signals that, because none of the other stuff, well, apart from the Winds of Mysterious Fortune, but that's just a timed little leveling buff. But like Nightfall and Horrific Visions don't have an end date, right? Because the end date would be...
yeah, good shout.
The end date would suggest...
Well,
the
they
next
won't...
patch
I mean,
coming out,
they won't... Maybe Horrific Visions will, but Nightfall won't have an end
No,
date.
exactly.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
But Horrific
like,
Visions, presumably is just going to be
maybe not.
11.1.5.
Maybe it is like time rifts or something like they were
maybe.
introduced in the patch, and like that event was just then always happening there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The whole time that you kind of went through that area for the rest of the expansion, and even today.
Yeah, maybe you're
You
right.
know?
But I think the just putting kind of the beginning and end dates on just Dastardly Duos. Yeah, suggests that it's different from everything else in 11.1.5, and that it might kind of straddle into another patch. I think you're onto something.
Well, there's a lot of disagreement with it in the chat, right? So it's not like a popular view of or opinion of mine, but I just don't see how it can. I don't see how they can possibly wait until after July the 15th for 11.1.7. I just don't see it. I just don't see it fitting in with their stated aims, and I do kind of trust them at the moment. And I just genuinely think I'm going to hedge my bets, and I'm not going to go as early as June the 18th. I'm going to say June the 24th is when I think 11.1.7 will launch.
Interesting.
Just
Okay.
I want that out there. I want that on record. I want
putting
you
that
to
out
print
there for
that.
everybody.
And, I mean,
Yeah.
if it's not, if I'm wrong, and if it is going to be after July the 15th, then frankly, me being wrong will be the least of my worries. It'll be more like,
Wow.
where's this content, right?
Wow.
You know
Right.
what? So I don't know. I think a lot of people in the chat disagree with me on that, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick my neck on the line, just like I did with player housing.
Just
and I'm
like
going to be
that.
like, I think that is what's going to happen. So I want to, just before we move on to player housing, which we're going to do now, I would like to gauge your level of whelmed with this 11.1.5 content update schedule on a scale of 1, underwhelmed, to 10, overwhelmed. Where is your whelm level right now?
I think just a 5. I'm neither
That's a
over
shame,
or
isn't it?
under. I'm neither over or under. I'm kind of like, okay. Should we?
5 is like the definition of mid, right? And that's not what you want.
Yeah.
You don't want it, and I don't think the content needs it to be mid. I think the content is really good. I say just fucking front load that shit.
Yeah,
just
but I
whack
think-
it in there, man.
I think they have to strike a balance between giving stuff to people who finish it in 3 days and are like, more content now. And, everyone else. Yeah, no, I agree. At the end of the day, just kind of artificially gating it is
So my reasoning is
not
this.
ideal.
My reasoning is this. In a world of war bans,
Well,
that's not going to happen because you put it out there for everyone to play, and you get the psychological effect that you're after, which is, whoa, loads of stuff, cool, thanks. Okay, rather than what we're getting right now.
Yeah.
We've done a whole podcast on it. 5 is my whelmed level, in your own words, Evie, which
Yeah.
I haven't heard since our wedding night. So, like, you're usually much easier to please than that, and that's just not what you want. And I actually, I know that's not going to mean much to most of you, but I actually think that's really important. I think that level of psychological impact that patch has, because it doesn't just affect the people playing the game; it affects people on the outside of the game. And the outside kind of opinion of the game and how they see the game, that they're not experiencing it, and the reaction to it and stuff like that, and they might not come back to the game as a result of that and stuff. And I think that's always a good thing.
Yeah.
I would love that level of whelmed to be much higher, and I think it could be if you just chucked all that content in there at the start. But also, people might have to like pick and choose what they're doing at the very beginning.
Yeah.
And they might finish that content all in one go in the first couple of weeks. But you know what they're going to do then? They're going to do it on their alts.
Yeah.
And they're still going to be playing for all that time if the content is good, which it is.
Yeah.
But they've just got time to do it then.
Yeah.
You know, before the next content update in 1.7. Like,
I feel like it's really telling that we were talking about like how whelmed we are with this patch. And we haven't even talked about what Dastardly Duos is. Like, you haven't even deigned to talk about what we're doing in
but there
Dastardly
doesn't seem any
Duos.
point because it's so far in the future.
I know.
Like,
I know.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like in a conversation about 11.15, most people aren't even talking about Dastardly Duos.
Yeah.
Which is wrong and bad.
Yeah.
You know? And that's the effect it has. And when it comes out, like every single fault and every single thing about it will be like on naked display because there will be nothing else to talk about or criticize because it will be the only content that's released in the last month. So again, it just puts pressure on the content that does come out, much more so.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you put all the content out together, each bit of content covers the other one's failings more, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas when you release them individually with a month in between each one, which is what they're doing here, the faults are more apparent.
Yeah.
You know, it's
I
like
get what you're
it's the areas where it falls short or might not be everything that you possibly want it to be aren't so apparent. You know, that's what I think anyway. I'm big onto the psychology of this stuff, and I think this is bad psychology. I think this is not great psychology.
Yeah, it's leaving me whelmed.
Yeah, exactly.
Just kind
and I
of
don't
whelmed.
want it to leave you whelmed.
It's all right.
My,
But I mean,
my
it's just
entire raison d'etre, the entire purpose for my life is to leave you panting and overwhelmed and I mean wearing nice pants.
Pants,
and
thanks.
and
supplying me with nice pants.
Exactly, yeah. And like I don't think that does this. I don't think this does that.
I mean, are you going to do the Dastardly Duos event?
Maybe.
When it comes out eventually?
I guess so. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this one's quite interesting to me in that it is like not tied to player power at all, right? Makes sense.
Sure.
It's like a 5-person scenario where you just face off against these like, you know, reanimated old dungeon bosses. And you're like on a timer, you're earning points. You get a little toy that you can like put down that can like display how many points you've earned so you can show other people how many you earned doing Dastardly Duos.
That's very cool.
It is kind of cool. It's so completely random, but it really feels like maybe they've put this here just in the middle of the summer because they're like, all right, look, we've already spread stuff out in this patch. Like, let's just plonk that in there for the people who just want something completely random, like just to push for a high number in
well, when
this
it comes to
minigame.
Dastardly Duos, okay, so Dastardly Duos wasn't on the roadmap. It's like a kind of an extra thing, which makes me think that it is very much like Trial of Style or like a broader scale.
Yeah,
or something.
it's kind of like a pet project,
a
like
literal seasonal thing.
Yeah.
And this is when they wanted to have it.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
So I understand the timing of that a lot more. But you know, because that's when it fit. That's where they've deemed it fits into their like holiday schedule, event schedule, like which will be repeating every year, sort of thing, or every quarter, or whatever it is. And but I've got some questions about Dastardly Duos. You've obviously read a bit more about it than I have. I won't be testing it until after this podcast. People comparing it to the Brawlers Guild. Is it the same as the Brawlers Guild in that you have to wait your turn? Because I hated that about Brawlers Guild. That's what I hated, having to sit around watching other people do it. I love the idea. I love the idea that you could watch other people do it. I hated having to watch other people do it.
No, I think you're literally in there in groups of 5, just going at it. I've got the event guide here, which I haven't actually done it yet, but like. But yeah, it's you just get these little guys
that's the thing
popping up.
I never liked about Brawlers Guild was you had to wait your turn.
Yeah.
But then if you died, you had to wait your turn again to try again. So not only did you have the humiliation of dying in front of everyone, but you had to then wait probably about like 10 minutes before you could have another go. Oh. And for me, something like that is the most fun when you can die, get up, go again.
Like
get up, go
Plunderstorm,
again.
right?
Yeah, like Plunderstorm, like Mage Tower,
RIP,
like all of the things like that. Like what's his name? Kingpin. Whatever his name is, like stuff like that.
The Underpin.
Yeah, Underpin. Thank you. That just works better when you can die, get up, go again. And like, I love I think maybe there should be 2 doors you can go through or whatever. Like one takes you to the viewing platform where you can watch stuff and keep that kind of social experiment, and maybe like see how other people are doing something that you're struggling on or something like that. That was always fun too. But there should be one where you walk through just to take part, and you don't have to wait your turn, because I don't know. I'm sure there's plenty of other people who disagree with me there, but I think you can have both. I think you can have the joy of like spectators watching, and I would go in and watch people get their ass kicked by Underpin.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. I'd love that. That'd be hilarious.
Being
exactly. I think you would always have a crowd for it without people just waiting.
That's what streaming is for.
Yeah. I guess so. But I also think it would be nice to let people not have to wait for their turn.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just me. I'm sure people will disagree.
While it's not tied to player power, you do get rewards for doing Dastardly Duos, which are locked behind weekly quests.
Oh, really?
Yes. So
Evie,
sorry.
Why did you make it like this?
So I didn't make it.
Why did you do that to it?
Yeah. So
that was not a good decision from you, Evertel.
Sorry. So every week you get kind of a new weekly quest, which gives you rewards. You get like the little podium. You get a pet called the Mean Ball Bag.
Pardon?
Yeah, it's a bag with 2 balls in it. So I'm just going to skip that one. And then you...
Wait. When have you ever skipped that one?
Then the week after, week 4, you get the option to display your score on your podium toy. There's a really sick mount that you get in week 5. Look at this guy.
Oh, wow.
Look how cute he is.
Okay, he is awesome.
Yeah, he rules.
Yeah, we like
He's
that.
like a little albino war tortoise. I absolutely... breathing fire. Like, look at him.
He's got a spiked ball bag tail. Yeah, he's great. We like him.
Yeah. Then you get more basically perks for your winner's podium toy, which I'm curious to see.
I love the idea of a winner's podium toy. I think that's cool.
It's really wild. And of course, you try to accumulate points. Like there's strategies for getting points based on like kind of getting the bosses, getting trash down, utilizing these cherry bombs. To like double your scores. So there's kind of a fun gameplay element going on there. It just feels so completely random and like you're not connected to the rest of the game, but I don't mind that. I think fine. Like deep in midsummer people are going to be like, I'm just going to log in and do some of this and see if I can get number to go up so I can display it on my podium.
Hey, never ever underestimate the power of number go up.
No, I look at this and I'm like, I want to do that. I want more numbers. Those numbers are absolutely meaningless and they have like 3 too many zeros on them. But I see the numbers.
Yeah, they absolutely do.
Like there's no need for them to be that big. But
again, not something I've ever heard you say.
No, exactly. And so I'm like, I'll do this. So for those of us who want like that bit of our brains tickled, in the middle of the summer, Dastardly Duos will be there for you.
Wow. Okay. I mean, that sounds fun. I look forward to testing it.
It does sound fun. But again, it just...
but do you know what I don't think it is? I don't think it's standalone content that's going to hold the game and carry the game for
it's not.
any, like, significant amount of time.
But what it is, and I've been thinking about this while we've been talking about this, like, this is 11.1.5. Like, it is not... it's not a major patch. It's just more
so
stuff.
Why ration it out
so
then?
Are we I agree, but is it like are we spoiled? Like have we had too much?
I am, yes.
Yes.
No,
sure.
I feel I'm with you. I'm absolutely cool with this being kind of like light content.
Yeah.
Like fun content for the sake of content, right?
Yeah.
I'm fine with it. I'm more than fine with it, honestly. So what I'm objecting to with the schedule is that it makes a bigger deal of each piece of content than it should.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's I feel like it's easier to kind of if you're serving me tapas, I don't want one tapas at a time. I want all my tapas together and we can all share.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like if you're promised a 12-course meal but you're served one tapas at a time, that's not like, do you know what I mean? It's not no one wants one tapas at a time. Everyone wants all their tapas together.
I think there's something
Does that make sense?
I think I think there's something to it there, and I think they've just kind of succumbed to their own kind of like messaging and schedule where it's like, okay, we now need to publish a post about what's in 11.1.5. this Dastardly Duos event kind of happens to overlap with that. So, because it's just on this calendar anyway, so it'll just kind of stick it in there. And, yeah, I think
I feel like I'm moaning about it now, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. No, and I agree with you, but I guess what I'm saying is I understand why people are moaning about it. I understand why people are like just kind of whelmed with that, but it's okay to just be whelmed with a 0.1, 0.5 patch.
Whereas I think before the schedule came out, I think people were like really looking, really excited about the content in 11.1.5.
Were they looking at Horrific Visions and being like, oh, I can't wait to do that again?
Well, especially when we were able to test it and it turned out to be really good with the changes that they'd made and stuff like that. So, I just like... I'm not entitled because I don't really care the angle I'm coming at it from is I want what's best for the game because I think the game is really, really good right now. And I think the major problem that WoW has right now is nothing to do with the game, is nothing to do with gameplay, is nothing to do with like the gameplay philosophy, is nothing to do with the content. The problem that WoW has right now is not enough people realize how good it is. Like, and it's really good. And like, so, there's this thing of like, has WoW been saved from being a bad game with the changes that happened in Dragonflight and War Within? Yes.
Certainly
like,
been redeemed.
WoW is saved in that respect. Sure. Like, the game is as good as it's ever been, maybe even better. Like I've said it a million times, I'll say it again. If 11.2 is as good as 11.1, then War Within has a serious case for being the best expansion ever. Like, all the dominoes are in line for Midnight to be the best expansion ever. Like, genuinely, the game is in a sweet, sweet spot right now. So it has been saved from a gameplay point of view. I don't think there's any question about that. Has it been saved from a player numbers point of view? That's a much more complicated question. Like, because it definitely hasn't recovered from the hit that it took in Shadowlands. And we're in this weird position right now where... yeah, the game is brilliant, but not enough people are experiencing that. And not enough people know that, really. And so I always come from a point of view of like, what has the best kind of like psychological impact on players? What has the best kind of, impact for players outside of the game as well? And like, what kind of presents the game in the light that it should be seen in, which is like, this is great now. And which the game deserves to be seen in right now. Yeah. And I think they could have done better with this schedule to achieve that effect. So it's not entitlement from a player point of view. It's more like I'm disappointed because it's like I think you've done yourselves a disservice with this schedule. I think you've done your content dirty.
Yeah.
Like I think the content's great, the cadence is great, but the optics of this release schedule are not good.
Yeah, I agree. In a nutshell, that's it.
No, I mean, that wasn't a nutshell. That was like a fucking nut orchard, that one. Can I please stop talking about it now?
Yes,
I hate that I'm coming across so negative with it because, And actually I'm really looking forward to all the different content.
I'm looking forward to it too. It was quite startling to see the reactions online with this announcement, like with the actual patch graphic and seeing people's being like, oh, where's this? Where's this? Oh, yeah. Why this? Why?
Well, actually, I mean... unsurprisingly, one of the big reactions with that was, where is the puzzling cartel
ship?
Of
course.
Where are the dinars? Like, so, I mean, that's what people want, Blizz.
Yeah, like,
Forget the content. Just give them the free gear.
Their Eye of Kazan. Exactly. We were like promised to get some really good free gear like pretty early on. Yeah. And you're kind of holding on to that promise. That's what people have latched onto.
So overall, I think the content from the testing that I've done in 11.15 is terrific. I don't think... it's going to be an especially long patch, like the schedule might suggest, depending on how you read it. I think 11.17 will definitely come, in the middle or just about second half of June. Yeah, I would still stake money on that. I guess.
Would you?
Yeah, I'll bet so. Jane, do you want to have a little gentleman's bet right now?
No, I don't actually.
Can we have a cosplay bet on it?
But I agree with you. So hold on, there's no all right.
But yeah, I think the schedule has unfortunately had an effect on the player base, which I think would have been best avoided. I wonder why that is. Because they definitely did plan on releasing Horrific Visions.
Yeah, they did.
As the opening content of it. I wonder why they changed that.
I think that's the big question for everyone.
So something I was expecting yesterday, which did not come, was a new player housing update post.
Yes.
And
It's been
it didn't
a while.
come. I wouldn't be surprised if it came after we finished broadcasting this, which would make this podcast right now our last opportunity to speculate about what that upcoming player housing post might be. The first one was talking about neighborhoods.
Yes.
And the second one was talking about how things would be placed and arranged and organized in houses. And that's the one that blew everyone's mind, right?
Yeah, I mean, the
So
gimbals.
neighborhoods gave us like the structure of it all, and then and we were like, interesting idea. You can do some stuff with this. I still think most people didn't quite trust Blizz that player housing was going to be awesome at that point. And then the last post came out with all the gimbals.
Give the gimbals.
And the
rotations.
the advanced mode.
Advanced mode is on another level.
Oh my God. And that's the moment that everyone was like, you know what?
They're for
Actually,
real.
player housing is going to be really good.
They're not mucking about.
They're really
like,
going for
this is
this,
going to be like a huge, huge feature that they've been hyping up, and they are living up to the hype so far.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the question is, Evertel, and I put this question to you, what will the next player housing article be about? What will it clarify?
Well, some things that haven't been talked about yet. There was actually a little Wowhood article that popped up about like potential like Drakthir style or like dragon style design elements.
Yeah.
No. Let me get where I'm going. Maybe looking at kind of what other styles we could explore in the future. But someone in chat has actually said this already, but I think they're going to start talking about crafting and how crafters fit into the whole housing ecosystem. What
you
they
see,
give us
that
here.
would be a very obvious one to talk about, and it's something that everyone wants to know about. I get the feeling that's going to be such a mind fuck of an article.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel like maybe more of the things will be in place and known by players before they talk about that one. But it certainly would be huge.
Yeah.
So here's what I consider to be the potentials.
Okay.
I consider professions to be and how they impact on player housing, and indeed how player housing impacts on them. I consider that to be an option. I consider the exteriors of homes,
Right, because we
and
haven't
how
really
those
looked
are
at that
decorated.
yet.
That would be an option. And the other
Exteriors
one
could
would
be
be like collections. Like how do you display your mounts? How do you just like your transmogs? Can you display those?
Hunter pets?
Battle pets, trophies from raid kills and achievements and things like that. Like how do these factor into? And I actually think that one's probably the most likely to be the next one. The trophy
That makes
one,
sense.
Like,
And that they'll be saving the kind of crafting stuff a little closer
just
to
because it's
release.
like so big. But
It's
then,
such a big one.
Then I think about the last post, which was just like crazy wild, like to me.
So good.
I think exteriors might be the next one, but there's a part of me that thinks that they might wait until the zones themselves are more ready to show before they start showing
Not
us
just
exteriors of the
concept art.
houses. Because I think it's perfectly reasonable that and likely that they might show us like exterior designs and stuff on blue backgrounds, like as works in progress. But I think they're going to want to show them with like in situ in the actual zones themselves. And I don't think the zones are ready to show yet. So like I've got a feeling they might hold off that.
Maybe, but I think they can still show concept art of, and even just like assets of exteriors,
And
not actually in context of the neighborhood, but just on its own.
I think that would be more likely than professions.
Oh, okay.
In that case,
Yeah.
But I think professions is a huge one. And you know what? I know that I like to crow on about how right I was about player housing coming and player housing being on the horizon. And I was right about that. And I will go to my grave being the guy that was right about that, because I'm never going to let anyone forget it, that's for sure. But from that point on, I have been completely wrong about everything when it comes to player housing.
It's
I've
true.
like, and the reason I've been wrong about player housing is because I've kind of underestimated Blizzard at every turn. You know, I was like, well, they won't do this. Well, they won't do that. It's going to be much more this sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so I've been proven wrong every single time. So
have
I'm
been.
saying, oh, they're not going to do the professions post yet because it would be
Just
too
to be
huge.
proven
to do it.
wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
You just
Because
wanna be
I'm
proven
kind of
wrong.
underestimating them, and so it's actually almost certain that will be the next one.
As it is. Okay,
And-
here's... Sorry.
No,
go ahead.
please.
Here's a wild card. What if they make kind of a little kind of mini announcement about communal buildings, right? Because we have the framework there. We have guilds neighborhoods.
Yeah.
We have entire neighborhoods that can be made up. They don't have to be, but that can be made up of just your guildies. Surely there's going to have to be like a communal space. There's going to have to be like a guild hall, a tavern, a dance floor. Like,
here is why you are evil.
Oh.
It's because I agree with you.
Okay.
However, like, everything else we're talking about is stuff that we know is coming.
Yes.
We know that being able to change, or, you know, something about the exteriors of your homes, they're going to be visible, right? It will be part of player housing. They will be visible in the neighborhood. And we just need Blizz to tell us what we can do to them. Mm-hmm. We know it is going to impact on professions, and professions will be involved.
They've mentioned it, yeah.
We know that you will be able to show off your collections to a certain degree. Mm-hmm. Like, all of these are features that we know are part of player housing.
Yeah.
You've just made up some shit that you want.
Yeah.
And we're talking about it like it's going to be in it. And that is different. That is different. You've done that YouTube thing.
Am I not allowed
You've
to
just
do
done
that?
headcanon there, and you're like, well, they'll definitely do this, right?
I did not say definitely.
No, I know.
That's why I prefaced it with
but I agree
wild
with you.
card.
I agree with you by how great that would be, right? And like, I completely agree with you. Like,
yeah.
You know, I just hope they have thought of this, is that if you can have, like, I think in a neighborhood, I'm just thinking about all the cool stuff you can do with neighborhoods, right? And we know that there will be things that people in the neighborhood can contribute to. They've kind of hinted at that with some of the wording of their neighborhood books.
Exactly, they have.
Yeah,
What is that?
What is that?
And
what that should be is a communal space. You're absolutely right.
Yes.
There should be a tavern that you can build where everyone just goes and hangs out, and you can literally just hang out with people from your neighborhood. And
With
I think
like
that
a
would
jukebox
that would be so good. And then that would be in a guild neighborhood, the de facto guild hall.
Your guild, yeah.
Right? So like guild neighborhoods are already better than guild halls, by the way.
Yeah.
But then you have like a space that is the de facto guild hall in the middle of that. But it doesn't matter if it's not a private neighborhood. In a public neighborhood, that would still be like a communal meeting space. And that would be amazing.
And
that would be incredible.
Just
but
like
we
a
don't know
little
that's
microcosm.
happening. But you're right, it would be so good. And I don't want to talk about how good it would be, just in case it doesn't happen.
Okay, sorry. Do you think there's there might be something kind of like culturally at play, you know, when we're talking about what neighborhoods are, because a neighborhood, particularly in like the US and the suburbs, like wouldn't have a communal space, you know?
Hey, that's not true. Your brother lives in a suburb.
They do.
And they have a communal little park,
right.
and they have like a communal swimming pool, and they have like there's like a little kind of clubhouse there.
Yeah,
and stuff
so
like that.
I'm just like, you know, podcast shit posting.
But that's my real only experience of American suburbs.
Well,
right? So,
where I grew up, there weren't any, communal spaces. They're kind of like parks and stuff. Oh, will there be parks?
Well, yeah, a park.
And communal outdoor spaces?
Like maybe the neighborhood will be able to, in the same way that you contributed towards the building that you wanted to be built on the broken shore, maybe you can do that in your communal neighborhood. You can contribute towards something. So like there's one communal space, and it can be a tavern or a little park.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Or maybe there's a space for both, and you contribute towards building it.
Sure.
It'd be better if there's both, I think. So yeah, like I think a park would be a great communal space, but a tavern would be such an obvious one as well. And yeah, I think that would be really, really cool. And that can be one of the things that justifies having new neighborhoods later on, is they have access, because of their layout and their vibe and their design and their aesthetic, they have access to different communal spaces. Because I'm always like, we need a reason for other neighborhoods.
Yeah.
You know, because like aesthetic is one of those things. Maybe being cross-faction when the other two aren't cross-faction would be one of those things. Like location and relevance in the current expansion would be one of those things. And access to different potential communal spaces would be one of those things.
Oh, yeah,
so
maybe.
it's like the Duratar one and the Elwyn one. They've got a park and a tavern.
Yeah.
Like maybe the Silver Moon one would have like a crafting mage tower thing, right? Or something, or a different type of park or a garden or a cemetery or like a museum. I know, some bullshit, right? And maybe then the Grizzly Hills one would have a fucking roller coaster. I don't know, but like,
what if like certain neighborhoods had like a PvP area?
Yeah, cool.
Like, what if people built an entire? I mean, this would go down so well, like for some streamers, like building an entire neighborhood and then just having a massive like arena in the middle.
Yeah, sounds great. Count me in.
Yeah.
Stuff
Anyway,
like that.
yeah.
So, I would love to hear that Blizzard were planning something like that. But so that's something I'm waiting for them to announce, not to clarify.
Yes.
Does that make sense? So I think the post at the moment, if we're waiting for them to clarify something, then I think external or collections would be
when it comes down
an
to
easy
it.
one to put out. Yeah,
Absolutely.
But I think Professions is a huge one.
I think they might be saving that one for later.
Professions is absolutely
'Cause that's gonna
massive.
be-
Like, I mean, it's going to be one of the main reasons to have player housing. I always think is that you can have like cool. I mean, and what's it? At a bare minimum, what you're going to get is you're going to get like recipes for all of the old doodads and furniture that's already in the game. We know they're putting loads of new stuff in and new stuff, but like also they'd be mad not to use all the assets they already have, right? So partly because it's just more stuff that people can use, but also because it will get people engaging with old content. There's that thing of like, okay, I want to be able to make loads of the furniture that is in Wrath, you know, like the Wrath tables and the Wrath chairs and the Wrath wall hangings and the Wrath like carpets and the Wrath like everything else, right? Maybe like the Wrath kind of beams and ceilings and light fixtures and stuff like that. So I need to go to Wrath. I need to kill the mobs or bosses that I can get the recipes for these things for.
Yeah.
And then I need to farm the mats to make those things if I want to just make them and sell them in the auction house. But if I want to commission someone who can already make those to make those things, I need to go and farm those mats as well. Yeah. And so it gets people to the old, at a bare minimum, you'd have thought, it will get people to old continents, farming old like mats.
Amen.
And I think that is awesome. Like if that is the absolute maximum of the impact they have on Professions, that is an incredible impact. That's getting people going to like all these old continents, killing these old mobs, getting these old materials, whether it be to make shit and put it on the auction house or commission shit that they want.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful, frankly. I think that's so great.
Yeah.
Good for the economy because there'll be loads more stuff being sold at like the mats and like the items will be being sold on the auction house. I think it's fantastic. I think it's great. And okay, so the big question is,
what is it?
Will we get new professions?
What would they be?
You tell me.
Like a table maker?
Yeah, carpenter. So everyone wants
right?
a carpenter, right?
Yeah.
Everyone thinks a carpenter would be a great idea because like the idea is you're going to need to like, there isn't really a profession at the moment which just lends itself to furniture making, right?
No.
So yeah, I think there's absolutely space for a woodworking carpenter kind of,
so having
like,
a new
profession.
kind of dedicated profession
And
just to boost the housing economy.
Exactly. Because also it just fits in better as well, right? And you could make it a subsection on a different existing profession, but I think there's a huge appetite there for there to be a new profession that kind of does this stuff. Right? So I think carpenter is a great idea. I think you can add a new gathering profession in there as well. I think you can add lumberjacking in there.
Wood collecting.
I'm not even joking. I think lumberjacking would be a brilliant idea, and it doesn't have to be like super intense, but like because you want the wood to make this stuff from. And I think that goes beyond herbalism, right?
Yeah.
So like you're going to want herbs from the different expansions to make the dyes and the inks that you're going to need to kind of make curtains and hangings and things like that, right? Basically anything. Yeah, exactly. So like it's obvious what each profession would do in furniture, but I think there's room for a new profession for making stuff, and I think there's room for lumberjacking. I think it would be just like anything else, right? You're flying along, you've got your mini map set to like trees that are fellable, as it were, and it would appear as a little dot, just like herbalism or mining. You land by it, it's like a spawned tree which matches the trees and stuff around it, but this one or two are like fellable. You've got a great animation with brilliant sound design where you chop it down. People would do that all day. They would absolutely love it.
I'd cut wood all day. I'd chop wood all day.
I know you would, babe. That's why I married you.
I would love that.
Yeah. Best part about New World is the lumberjacking. Like, people spend hours on that, and it's so relaxing and it's so great, and it would be fantastic.
See, I'm not a fishing person. I did some fishing today, and I was like, this is not who I am.
Oh, fishing for oils for like lanterns and stuff would be great.
Yes,
and yeah.
Like, our engineers gonna build like appliances.
Oh, 1,000,000%. Yeah.
Right, for your home.
It's so great. But I like the new professions thing is great. And I think most people kind of landed on a carpenter type profession. I think from that, it's quite easy to justify like a new gathering, like lumberjacking profession. I think that'd be really cool. And again, viable on every continent, because every continent has trees. Here's something that cropped up in our heads yesterday.
Okay.
For a new profession.
Tell me.
I heard this and I went, ooh, so I'm really looking forward to your reaction either way. An artist.
Oh.
Someone who paints the pictures that go on the walls.
Ooh.
So I know most people would expect that to be inscription, right? But I think you can get inscription involved with it anyway, but I think you could have a separate artist profession whereby you collect things that you can paint, and you do that by going to locations and like going to all the different points in the location to see it from all the different angles and stuff like that. So you learn like this like landscape or this portrait or this whatever, and then like you put your skill points into it so that you can paint it and get it right. And then you use obviously paint some inscription and ink some inscription and like canvases from tailoring and stuff like that, and like frames from woodworking and stuff like that. But to actually paint the picture is its own profession. And you could maybe combine that with sculpting for like statues and stuff as well. You don't seem very impressed by this. I thought this is an amazing idea.
I am interested in this idea, but I think it would ultimately be disappointing because they would never open up the painting or the sculpting to like making your own thing. Like you would never be able to just like draw whatever you like. And I think because of that, it would ultimately be disappointing.
Really?
But I like the idea.
You don't think like, because it would just, it's basically like any other profession in that you learn your recipe somehow, whether it be from a drop or a thing that you do. And then you just like have and then you get your points by doing. And I just think.
I like the idea.
So I just think there is a massive market for professions that people basically just do as the way they play the game. I think that's the thing that player housing brings to professions, because I've always heard the entire time I've been playing this game, whenever we have a conversation about professions, someone going, look, dude, I don't do Raid, Mythic Plus or whatever. I love playing the game. I just want to be a blacksmith. I just wish that's how I could play the game. I just want to be like, you know, a woodworker or something like that. And I think there's a huge market for that. And I think if you had like a carpentry profession, if you had like an artist profession, there is a surprising amount of people who play this game, like those people who just play the auction house and stuff. And that's just how they play the game. And they enjoy that. And I think that's wonderful. But I think there's a huge amount of people that would love to just be able to say, well, what do you do in World of Warcraft? I'm an artist.
Yeah.
I make paintings, and I'm commissioned to do paintings, and I make the paintings that people put in their player houses.
Interesting.
I just think that would be really, really cool. And I think there's a surprisingly large market for that.
Oh, yeah. I can understand the satisfaction in doing that.
And you can make some things to paint be really hard to get the recipes for.
Okay.
You know?
Okay, that would be really cool. Like a massive like portrait.
Yeah, totally.
You know, like a tapestry.
Exactly.
Yeah,
painting could be like exploration based. So maybe you could put like...
I like that. I like
maybe
the exploration.
You'd have to go to different like vistas and put down...
you know, your little
like
easel.
Telescopes to see them properly.
And
an easel to practice it from different angles and stuff and like that. And it'd be like archaeology in that sense, maybe.
Hey, I miss archaeology.
Yeah.
So I think something like that, having it as a substitute, would be really cool.
I think it would be really
And I'm
cool.
just imagining like people setting up little neighborhoods, and then each, you know, player having like their de facto trade and skill, and so like it becomes this kind of like little
so a marketplace would be a really good like communal space.
Well, and then you've got like you know Tally's house is going to be the blacksmith's house, and it's all like blacksmith vibes, and you know, Evie's house is going to be the artist house. I think the potential, like not just for role playing.
I love how I got blacksmith and you got artist, by the way. That's great.
You said you'd want to be a blacksmith. You literally said those words.
The whole artist profession was literally my idea, and you basically poo-pooed it.
Yeah. And then I took it. I think there's so much potential, and I think just even in the ways that we spend time with other players in game, I think they are really trying to unlock kind of new social elements, and they have this new kind of social team, right, as well that's working on this, which I'm really curious about. Creating like more Discord integrations and things like that. So this all feels like part of.
Do you want to hear my wish list for neighborhoods then?
Yes.
I wish for communal spaces, something like a tavern in a neighborhood.
Oh, absolutely.
I wish for new professions connected to player housing. I wish for...
We know that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh, no, not new.
I wish for proximity voice comms in private neighborhoods.
Oh.
Okay. I wish for you can click it on. You can go into the voice settings. You can turn on your mic and your voice
oh my God,
comms,
I love
and
that.
It's proximity. So like someone automatically comes into your comms when you're near them.
Yeah. So you
a survival game.
You were rewarded for actually socializing and being close to people and visiting.
I think probably maybe only in private neighborhoods.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what
totally.
I mean. Like, so you are rewarded for like literally physically hanging out.
And my other wish, is for like some of the furniture and stuff to be in some way interactable, so that players have scope to make like little dungeons and like levels and kind of like adventure rooms and stuff within their player houses, like because all it's going to take, these houses can be so big, judging by the thing. All it's going to take is some interactivity with stuff, and you can get like Minecraft levels of customization. People will be able to make little dungeons and escape rooms and just fun things for their friends to do in their huge mansions that they've got. And I just think that could be really fun. That's my little wish list. That would be my little wish list.
I like your wish list quite a lot.
Yeah.
I'm signing off on that.
And I think in private neighborhoods, like I think the proximity comms thing would be a very popular thing to do. I think it'd be great. People would really enjoy just whacking it on, walking down the street and saying hello to people as they walk past.
Yeah.
I think it could be cool.
I just think
it'd be really neat.
Yeah.
The voice comms are already there. They're already in the game, like they're inbuilt. The in-game voice comms great these days.
I would love to just be able to hang out with my guild like before a raid or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like everyone is meeting at Jim's house today. And you know what I mean?
Sorry, Camilla.
Sorry. Like we're all crashing your house today. Like I just it's really promising. I'm really excited by it. And you know what? Who needs to be hyped or whelmed by a 0.1, 0.5 patch when you have player housing on the horizon to be excited about? All right.
Fine. I'll go with that too. Let's go to let's go to all of our super chats.
Let's do it.
I'm having mouse issues. Can you do it?
This never happens to me. First of all, Chris, thank you so much for the super chat. Good morning to you both. Friendly reminder, if you've not done it already, to post the recipes, please, and thank you. Chris, I'm on it. These are the recipes from our cooking streams.
Yeah, this is not player housing recipes, right? But bro, we haven't even touched on like what a shit show the shop is going to be when.
No! Why did you have to say that? I was going to talk about how like I'm going to learn cooking so that I can display cool foods on my kitchen.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. Chris, I'm on it. I've got a couple hours tomorrow morning, childless, so I will post that on the Patreon for you guys.
Oh, thanks, I appreciate that.
Eternal Wolf, thank you so much. Is time gating worse than thinner patches? That's kind of the big question, isn't it? Should we have rather had an 11.1.6 with the gated features instead, or what would you suggest? I think this is.
I would suggest front loading.
Right? Yeah.
I would suggest like. Most people play a patch at the beginning of the patch, so give the most amount of people the most amount to do.
Yeah,
like
the game has cadences, right? It has lulls, and that's normal. It can't just be like going hard all the time.
I think you've got a situation where like if you just look at the content in isolation that's coming in 11.1.5, you go, yes, that's a great amount of content for a 0.5 patch.
All in one go.
Yeah, and we've managed to undermine that by having a release schedule that makes people go, I don't think that's enough content for a month.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So we've gone from, like, with all the content together going, yeah, that'll last a patch, to going, that's not going to last the amount of time that you want it to last for. Yeah. And I think that's a shame. And you know, you put all that content together and people's reaction is, oh yeah, that's a good amount of content for the patch. Yeah. So yeah, I think the answer is literally just front loading. Yeah. I think it is just like whacking it all out there and let people do with it as they will. It's 8 weeks, the patch. Yeah. Right? So like, just whack it in. Yeah. Let people do it.
Get it in there.
That's what I think anyway. That's what I think. That's all I'm saying, all right?
Next one is from Rico. Cheers, Rico. Hey, Tally. Hey, Evie. I'm sorry I'm late again. Your late, friendly super chat reminder and 61st day of me asking WoW to add orc eyebrows. Cheers and love.
I mean, like, if we can just go by Rico's profile picture here, the orc brows on this picture are like magnificent, they are winning me over slowly but surely. Yeah.
Another one from Rico. Do you think we'll have some more beautiful family love, kiss and hug cinematics in the future? I'm still such in love with the Tyrande and Malfurion one.
Oh, well, I mean, I really wouldn't be surprised if Tyrande and Malfurion feature incredibly heavily in Midnight, right?
Well, now that we have the tech, now that we have kiss
the
tech.
Hug tech?
And
kiss
hug tech.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they utilize it again?
I want full-on Frenchy tech. That's what I want. No, I don't. I really don't, actually. No, I actually really don't.
Why did you say that?
I don't know. It just seemed like a fun thing to say, but I regret it.
Now.
Yeah, me too. Well, it's always in your head.
You just put that in the world.
Like,
you just put that out in the world. Anyway, yes, I think there are definitely going to be more things like that. I think especially coming up in the next expansion in Midnight, you know, we're going to be looking at Illyria and her family. There's going to be some stuff going on there.
Oh yeah, it's going to be wonderful.
Some hugs, for sure.
Hugs all over the place, man. And hugging Sylvanas goodbye as she goes to her death. Like, to defend her home.
Oh, she's not a hugger, though.
Illyria and Valyria are like,
she is not a
hugger.
So
sorry. Yeah, but she'll be like that.
She'll be like,
and they'll be like, I got dead elf all over me.
HSA roll. Thank you so much. Tally's hairstyle is too short. Change it back.
I mean, I don't disagree, honestly. Now I look at like videos that I did the day before I got my haircut, and I'm like, oh, I looked so good. But at the time, I was like, I hate this. Yeah. I look terrible.
Welcome to my world.
That's the thing about getting old. Like, you just progressively look worse. So even with haircuts and stuff that you hated before, you look back on it and you're like, I looked amazing. It's like, yeah, no shit, you did. You were younger.
One day younger.
Yeah.
It shows. Darius, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate it.
Oh, that's really kind of you. Thank you.
And another one from Rico. Also with Undermine already explored up and down, what is your favorite and memorable story bits in the War Within so far, including the new one?
What I loved about like the story bits in Undermine was how like singular they felt and how kind of like tied to their place they were. I love that about the Hallowfall story as well. It was like such a it wasn't just like we've put quest in this area, which I would say something like maybe the questing in the Ringing Deeps was, which makes perfect sense. Like, it fits for that zone. But the thing I love about Hallowfall was it was like it just had such a strong sense of place, and it felt like all the questing was completely like built around the zone and belonged in the zone in like this very unique way. And, you know, everything was like, we are the people of Hallowfall, like shit's hard, you know? Yeah. And it was so singular in that sense. And like, I feel like in a slightly different way, the Undermine questing is that singular and it's so tied to place. And that's the kind of questing I really like. I really like, you want to feel like this quest couldn't really happen in any other zone, sort of thing. And that always feels really satisfying to me. So those are the bits that really stick out from me, is like going through Hallowfall and playing those quests, the side quests and the main quests. It's just like, yeah, I just get the sense of their struggle and their day-to-day survival. And obviously the world building for the Arathi culture is incredible because they're setting it up for later on and stuff like that. So it just feels, yeah, it's its own thing. It's singular. It's building towards something much bigger later on. It just feels significant in kind of every sense, the Hallowfall questing, and I love that. It's been terrific.
I have to say, I'm really kind of glad that Nightfall is taking place in Hallowfall, because at the moment it feels like physically and like mentally the most like far away place from Undermine.
Yeah, it's the hardest bit to get to, isn't it?
Exactly. It is literally the farthest away on the map, and it takes ages to get there. And also like just mentally I'm going from, like goblins to and sometimes, like there'll be 3 bountiful delves in there. And I'm like, man,
this is another reason why you have to do your Mythic plus 10s.
I do.
So you get the portals to take you there.
You're absolutely right.
I though honestly, my Dawnbreaker and my Priory portals are like just a game changer. Because it's like, if I'm not planning on doing a Mythic plus, or even if I am, to be honest, but I just want to get to Hallowfall, because it's the hardest zone to get to out of all of them. I whack that portal and I just appear in Hallowfall, and it's so good.
It is pretty good.
Yeah, and then I can easily get back to Dornigal by using my Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Get anywhere from there apart from Hallowfall. So like, it's great.
Yeah. I think one of my favorite just story elements, I think the opening to the expansion was so cool, and it really, I wasn't like hyped about Earthen, but I feel like the storytelling around them just in like the opener and like that first zone was just a really good easing into the expansion.
Yeah.
And they had these beautiful like personal questing and stories, and then learning about them and like the sadness of their whole, like the experience was, I was like, okay, fine. And then as I was playing it, I was like, oh, heck yeah. And a couple of quests like really jump out, like the one who's kind of like losing his memory and stuff. And I really enjoyed that. And it really kind of changed. And I almost made an Earthen, like to the point I almost made an Earthen. I didn't, but you
were won over by those Rocky boys.
I was absolutely won over by them. And it's just, one of like kind of my fond memories of thinking of the launch of the expansion.
The side questing in Dornigal is particularly good, actually.
Oh, it rules.
It's really good.
Yeah, it is so good. Yes. And then we've got
Laggy Sun. Where do you think those unused drills in Undermine Station are going to? So yeah, there is. There's at least one tunnel which is like out of use. There's a
vibes
sign.
were off.
Yeah.
Right?
Close vibes are off.
Yeah.
It's okay. So I think I'm right in saying that there's an NPC next to that tunnel that says it goes to like another part of Undermine, which is like meant to be the upper city or something like that.
Oh, right.
Yeah, which is a bit weird. But so maybe is that, or they could always be. I mean, get anywhere from Undermine in those drills, right? Do you think they will use it? Is the question really?
Oh, I hope so.
It seems likely that it would go somewhere trolly as well, because it's something that hasn't really been. And I understand why, but the story of Undermine is that they were basically enslaved by the trolls, and then they managed to overthrow the trolls and then enslaved them. Mm-hmm. So you wouldn't know that through playing from Undermine, because they basically don't mention it.
No.
And you know what? Fair enough. Yeah. Whatever, man.
Sure.
But like, maybe it could be something trolly. They kind of go there by having us go to the Kashmite coast a lot, which I think is really cool. That's like a little hint at it. But it's interesting. I wonder if they ever will use it.
I wonder.
I think I suspect they will. To go to a new zone or something.
I think so. I could
connected,
see it.
Like maybe the 11.2 zone or something like that.
I mean, you can't just build a big drill and not use it.
True. It is.
Put it on my gravestone. I mean, that's gross. Don't put it on my gravestone.
It's very much Chekhov's drill right now.
Torek, have you guys thought about doing a death predictions video for the saga?
That's a great idea. I'm right. I'm putting that on the spreadsheet.
That's a really good one. It's still early, but I can't imagine we go the entire saga with no deaths.
Okay, that's a great idea for a video.
I love this
I'm
idea.
On it. Torek, I'm memeable. Taking that idea. You're getting no commission, but I'm doing it. Oh, you get to enjoy the brilliant video.
I think that's a great. Who's gonna die, right?
So yeah, the tunnel in Undermine, mm-hmm. the submarine in Undermine. Mm-hmm. Like, I can't be the only one when I got to that big submarine in the dock who had Baldur's Gate 3 flashbacks.
Oh, God, yeah.
And was like, okay, yeah. And everyone who gets on the submarine dies, and they're all in my death prediction videos. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's all linked. It all comes full circle.
Sounds good.
I can't believe you just paid me to give me a brilliant idea for a video. Thank you.
Buddy, great to see you. Cheers, friends. Has the big underground experiment worked? I think Hallowfall Undermine felt different, but I'm done with the underground zones for a while.
Well, I mean, I
Really
think the
interesting.
suggestion is that there won't be many underground zones for a while, for sure. Like if, I mean, you know, the void is the void, and I think it's clearly going to be something ethereally and voidy in the next
We're
patch.
in space.
I've enjoyed the underground thing. I mean, like, so I think about the zones I spend time in. I think they've been very wise. They made a great call in making the hub overground.
Yes. Oh, 100%.
Like,
yeah, I think
massive
that's,
call, which has had a
essential.
huge positive impact, I think.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's still where most people spend their time. I think Donegal was one of the best designed hubs, probably, I mean, the best designed hub since BFA, for sure. The best designed cross-faction hub since Legion. So, I think, you know, you get that great kind of promenade where everyone just hangs out, where the Delve thing is. And I think it's really, really good.
Yeah.
And they were also, I mean, there are two proper underground zones in this expansion so far. One is the Ringing Deeps. One is the Nerubian zone, Ashkahet. Ashkahet is so stylized, it's kind of crazy. And the Ringing Deeps is the only one which is like your classic underground zone.
Yeah.
And I've actually found myself liking that zone.
I love the Ringing Deeps.
More and more and more as the expansion has gone on. Like, it's not like a zone that I really thought about much at the launch. You had Hallowfall, you had the Spider Zone, you had the Overground Zone. But more and more and more, I find myself flying around there, particularly with like the Delve that's down in the south that's opened up and stuff like that. I find myself flying from the south, and I'm like, this is stunning.
Yeah,
this is
so
really
cool.
beautiful. And I think it's like a low-key, massively underappreciated and underhyped zone. I think it's beautiful, stunning.
I agree. I've always had a soft spot for Ringing Deeps. Ashkahet, on the other hand, I never spent any time in, and I rarely did, even when it was like
me too.
Current content,
Yeah,
which feels like a shame.
It's just not my kind of vibe. It is loads of people's vibe, but it's not really mine.
Yeah, it's It just like, I never felt like the promised city was really a city. I never really kind of, I don't mind the spider folks, but I never really kind of vibed with them, apart from Big Lady who loves you. Yes, these are all proper names.
And Undermine as well, of course.
And Undermine, of course, but Undermine is like in a bubble. Undermine is in its own little like...
Kind of might as well be an island.
Exactly. Exactly. It just has its own little bubble. It feels, you know, it's all covered, but it doesn't feel like underground.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think all in all, like Hallowfall was amazing and didn't feel... you know, you get a sense of being underground, but there's still, you don't feel enclosed. I never felt claustrophobic.
Another thing to mention, I think, is like the way that you descend and the levels. Again, my breath is still taken sometimes when I'm going from Hallowfall to Ashkahet. Like the way it drops down in like plateaus, and you go down. It feels incredible, like so good. And I think that's huge. I think that's a really big kind of factor in how good it feels. That loading tech, which will be used in player housing, you see. Really good stuff. Really cool stuff.
I think you're onto something.
Like really, really stunning. And like Undermine is so singular and so its own vibe.
And
so,
it has so much character. Right? It's just so...
It's always going to be one of my favorite zones in the game. So
super
in answer to the question, I think it's worked in that it didn't fail. Do you know what? It hasn't worked to the extent that you go, I think all zones should be underground from now on. I much prefer them. It's worked in that it didn't make me go, oh no. It didn't. When I heard that the expansion was going to be the underground expansion, I was like, but I don't really like Zaralek Caverns.
I know, same. But it doesn't feel like Zaralek Caverns at all.
So
it's not like brown dirt. Do you know what I mean? It's not like your dirt.
There's too much brown in so I think in the sense
success
that
for me.
It avoided failing, and you know the zones. We can talk about that much about the zones and how good they are. I think, in my opinion, it's been a success.
It's been great.
In that I don't hate it.
I don't hate it.
Yeah. And in many ways, I really, really love it.
Yeah.
So Yeah.
On that note, I think we are
going to have to
roll.
go, yeah. But thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for everyone who joined us on the live broadcast on YouTube. I mean, you're here now, but people listening later won't. And thank you to everyone who's listening on your favoured podcast listening platforms. It's been really good fun. We'll be back for the weekly reset on the weekend, maybe just after the weekend, and more videos planned like this month as well. Maybe even the death video, the death. Video.
I'm
It's
thinking
super
about
fun.
that one now.
Yeah, me too. It's super fun.
Got the gears going.
Okay, so I'll get uploading this as soon as possible. Thank you to everyone who lurked. Thank you for everyone who joined in the chat. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the player housing post that's definitely coming the second we end this broadcast. And we'll talk about that next week. From me, Taliesin.
And me, Evitel.
Until next time.
Bye, guys.
Cheerio.